も平松里英です。
Hello everyone, this is Jack, British interpreter and translator in Fukuoka, Japan.
Hi Jack, how's it going?
Hi dear, good thank you, and you?
天気がいいのですごい気持ちがいいです。Yes, I'm feeling good. Thank you. で、今回もイギリスのニュースを一つ取り上げて、英語と日本語でサマリーを読み上げます。その後、イギリス出身のジャックが主に英語、私が主に日本語による会話が続きます。番組の最後に今回の記事から注意が必要な発音についての発音ワンポイントレッスンがあります。また、読み上げサマリーの英語と日本語は、リエロンドンのホームページ、あるいは平松里英 YouTube チャンネルのポッドキャストエピソード動画の画面上に表示されますので、check it out。今回取り上げるニュースは5月21日の i ニュースのものです。
Another story that caught my attention this week, Leah, is that of 2nd of June, members of Parliament, that's MPs, will have to return to Parliament if they wish to vote on legislation or take part in debates, as they plan to end the recent use of technology. However, this means many MPs must travel from their constituencies from all across the United Kingdom, which is against Scotland and Wales' lockdown rules.
ジャックが今週もう一つ気になった記事ということで、6月2日からイギリスの議会議員たちが立法に関して投票したり、討議に参加するためには議会に出席しなければならないことになったということです。このところテクノロジーを使ってきましたが、その使用をやめるということです。多くの議員たちが全国に散らばる自分たちの選挙区から集まってこなければならないわけですが、これがスコットランドやウェールズのロックダウン、緊急事態期間中のルールに反するということなんです。
While the House of Commons will be limited to 50 members due to social distancing, the previous technology integration had allowed up to 120 additional MPs to connect with Parliament. The MP seems fed up though, pointing out hundreds of MPs follow government advice to work from home where possible, and returning to Westminster is going against the advice given to the rest of the country at the risk of many people's health.
庶民院ではソーシャルディスタンス、社会的距離を取るため50名までとしていますが、テクノロジーを使ったバーチャル会議ではさらに120名が議会とつながることができました。政府の指示によりワークフロムホーム、在宅勤務する議員が何百人になっており、縮小気味のようで、全国に言い渡されている方針とは反することであり、多くの人々の健康をリスクにさらすものです。
Yeah, I believe there was a very big problem this week with a certain MP going right across the country.
なんでこうなっちゃうんですか？イギリス人のジャックさんなら感覚的にわかるかなと思って聞きたいんですけど。
Well, first, sticking to the story, why does it get from it? I think this is not just a British thing. I think this is very common with quite a lot of politicians that we've got the lovely phrase of pencil pushers, yeah, sat behind a desk and go, oh, well, it'd be good if we could do this without thinking of the reality. And especially with something like this, the politics in England, because it's got such a long history of tradition. There's the idea of one should be going to the House of Commons and taking part in the debates and voting, but the British Parliament is world famous, or I should say world infamous, for the amount of MPs that go there, and you can see them sleeping during the live debates, but they're still getting paid. So there's part of me, if I'm brutally honest, there's part of me that thinks there's some ulterior motive that they say, oh no, you have to show up, it means people can claim more payment, but at the same time there's less people going, so there's not as many people claiming, so maybe I'm just being a bit too cynical. But I mean the story with the gentleman traveling across the country to go and see his family despite being in lockdown, that was a bit of a I've not really got a polite term to describe it. I think it was sticking the fingers up to the public really that had gone through the lockdown despite their own family being ill.
いや本当にそうだなと思うんですけど、これじゃあ誰が得をするんですか？何をしたいの
？Yeah, I mean, it's a mystery, isn't it? I mean, the MP that wrote the article says herself, up to 120 people can connect online, and because people don't have to go anywhere, I believe there was a certain rise in attendance to some of the debates and things. Because obviously the older members don't have to travel out, and obviously because of the lockdown they can't travel out either. But like you say, I'm not sure what there is to gain, to be honest. I mean.
こういうことか。違ったらごめんなさい。だから50名っていうふうに限ってるじゃないですか。それの理由がソーシャルディスタンスだからということで、50名でこじんまりと話を進めるためのこれは口実なんじゃないの？
Yeah. It could be. Yeah, that makes sense.
文句があるんだったらいらっしゃいよ。でもソ
Mm.
ーシャルディスタンスだから来れないでしょってい
Yeah.
うことなんじゃないの
I hope you're right in one respect, because it means that the people that really care are going to show up. And if only the
なる
people
ほ
that
ど。
care show up, then it means that, there could be good changes made.
うんうんうん。
But unfortunately, if if it's limited to 50 and the first 50 happen to be all the people that don't care show up, then they're all going to say, okay, no, we don't want to pass this, go on.
うんうんうん。
And there's, it's essentially a dictatorship,
うん
isn't
うん
it?
うん。
If we ignore the coroner problem of obviously, the
うん
risk
うん。
to many people's health by traveling across the country and
確
possibly
かに。
taking the virus with you or taking it back.
確かに。
I mean, it's pushing on, a dictatorship. If it depends how the 50 are decided, doesn't it? If they say, okay, first come, first served, or it's a random register, like being a jury member for a court case, then that would be good. But if it's done by, voluntary attendance, or maybe there's someone who decides who gets to
う
come,
ん。
send your name in, and then they decide, oh, well,
う
ABC, you
ん。
can
なん
come.
か、う
Then I think
ん。
it's a bit
う
risky.
ん。そうね。あとさ、これってHouse of Commons だ
Mhm.
けなんですよね。
Mhm.
うん。House of Lords は違うわけでしょ。だから、
Yeah.
なんかやっぱりそこにものすごいこうインターナルなこう政治的なものがあるような感じがする。だってさ、例えばこうどこだろう、ニューカッスルとかって言ったらイングランドの中で一番遠
Mhm.
いわけじゃないですか。で、
Yeah.
そこからわざわざ行くっていうことになると、それ相当の理由が必要になるわけですよね。
Yeah. Yeah.
でもロンドンから近かったら
Mhm.
行きやすいじゃないですか。
Yeah, and I think that's what worries me a little bit, that if only the MPs from the various districts in London and the surrounding area go, then,
そう。
we've got the north-south divide gets worse.
そうそう。ただでさえね、本当にノースサウ
Mm.
スディバイドがあるだけど、それを言わないで、
Mhm.
ソーシャルディスタンシングがあるから50名ま
Yeah.
でとかって言うてるんじゃないのかしらみたいな。
Mhm. I wonder. I think it's a great idea to the previous thing of doing it online, whether there's social distancing or not, because I think if you the amount of the amount of benefits that are paid to some of the MPs or politicians around the world, travel expenses, food expenses on the day. If you say, oh no, okay, well what we're going to do is we're going to buy you a new laptop. Here you are. Now you have to take part from home. Then there's no excuse not to take part in a debate. There's no excuse not to vote. I think it would be a great turnaround and a good chance to make a new normal in the political circles. I mean, there's so many big
I agree.
problems over here in Japan at the moment where they should be debating things to do with the coronavirus, but because there's been so many political scandals, they're too busy trying to get answers from that they can't do anything about corona, and now they're talking about corona. These scandals and all the documents related to them have suddenly vanished. So it's I think if everything was done electronically and stuff, you can sort of say, okay, well, this is the agenda, this is what we're doing, it's online, and if it's online, you can also control it a bit better. You're not just shouting at one another across the room, are you? Who knows?
そうだね。なんか民主主義をその改善っていうか、民主主義であるべき姿にしていくためには、確かにそのバーチャル会議で120名とかね、additional って言ってるから、
Yeah.
たくさんの人がちゃんと会議に出席できた方がいいはずなんだけど、なんか違う方向に言ってる感じですね。
Yeah, it seems to be getting worse rather than better, because obviously with the coronavirus and the sanctions that are still in place, it's not like they're going back to the normal scheme. It's less MPs that were there in the first place. So, like you say, it seems to be almost getting worse as time goes by when it should be getting better.
確かに。なんかこの辺ちょっと気になりますね。まだまだ。
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Especially politics, because obviously I think every country, every democratic country at least, takes pride in the history of how their country has been made and how the leaders have been chosen and whatnot. So it's difficult to make changes. But I think, the technological exchanges. Let me say that again. The technological improvements that this MP is mentioning in the article. I can't. Maybe it's because I'm not an MP myself. I haven't attended one of the meetings, but I'm not seeing the major disadvantages.
うん
I'm sure there is, like people with terrible Wi-Fi signal might not have heard everything, or people with a bad speaker or a bad microphone can't take part as well as they could in person.
うんうんうんうん
But as I say, if, for example, instead of paying everyone's expenses to go, then they can go, okay, here's the brand spanking new laptop, speaker, and headset. So make sure you're tuning into the meeting on Friday.
うん
We should be going forward, not backwards.
うんそうですね。なんか
Mhm.
そういうテクノロジー、そういう
うん
オンラインのミーティングとかでみんなで参加させてやるっていうのが、例えばですけど、セキュリティ上の問題があるとか、情報が
Sure,
ね。
yeah.
でも別に公開してるんだったらさ、特に関係ないじゃない
Mhm.
ですか、そういう意味では。
Yeah,
で、
the date's alive, aren't they?
あとはそのテクノロジーに対してそのテクノフォビアっていうか、いう人とか
Mhm.
が結構その発言権を持ってるのかなとか、いろいろね、
Mhm.
思うところはあるんですけど、
Mhm.
ちょっとこれ見ていきたいですよね。またこれに関してアップデートがきっとあるんじゃないですかね、近日中に。
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the more recent articles that I've read.
うん
I mean, this is if like the 2nd of June. So yeah, very, 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 very soon that this is going to
そう
start.
ですよね。
So it's quite frightening to think. It's almost. I wonder when the idea was first suggested. Actually,
うん
it'd be interesting to see when the idea was. The first person to say, do you know what? Okay, we've had enough of this online rubbish. We're going to go to this. Whoever suggested it first and when it was suggested and how quickly it got passed through.
あ、本当だわ。
Because
うん
that would be quite
う
interesting.
ん I'd
Because
love to
it
find out, get to the
sounds.
bottom of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds by the venom in this lady's writing that
Thank you
that
for your
it seems to have been
candid comment.
it seems to have been rushed through is the impression I get from how she's phrasing her opinion.
確かにこれはなんか6月2日からですからね、ちょっとどういう
Mm,
感じになっていくのか、いや本当にこのまんまかもしれないけど、ちょっと興味あります。
mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
さあ、今回取り上げたソース記事のリンクは、ポッドキャストの番組情報欄、YouTube の詳細欄に掲載されています。Wow! That's really interesting. I love to see
Yeah,
through.
I really want to see it through. I'm completely. Let me know. I mean, obviously you're there. You can watch it live almost. So keep me informed because I think that the news won't make it out here as fast.
事件は
Really
現場で
interesting.
起きているって感じですかね。
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the message.
私もじゃあちょっとちゃんとフォローしときます。
Thank you.
またこれアップデートしますね。OK。
That's great. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed it today, and the summaries are really helpful if you repeat after us and overlap as we read aloud. And remember, everyone, Rome was not built in a day.
Indeed. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Bye.
Take care.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
続いては発音ワンポイントレッスンのコーナーです。今日はジャックさんのサマリーの中に出てきた constituency という単語を取り上げたいと思います。じゃあいつものようにKanamiさんよろしくお願いします。
はい、よろしくお願いします。
この constituencies という単語なんですけれども、聞いたことありますか？
なんとなくコンスティテューションがパッと思い浮かんだんですけど、コンスティテューションとは違うんですよね。
そうですね。選挙区のことなんですけれど、
選挙区。
はいこれどこに強音節が来るのかなっていう気がしませんか？
ちょっと長いし、コンスティテュエンシー。
そう。これこのまま出てきたら何て言いますか？Kanamiさんだったら。
コンスティテュエンシー、最初ですかね。
コンスティチュエンシーってこう3つ目 ?1、2、
コンス
3っ
ティテュエンシー。
て言っちゃいますよね。私も最初そうでした。ずいぶん昔ですけど。はい。これですね、コンスティチュエンシーって言うんです。そうなんです。
コンスティチュエンシー。
そう、コンスティチュエンシーって言うんです。
コンスティチュエンシー。
そうなんです。やってみましょう。
はい、コンスティチュエンシー。
いいですね。コンスティチュエンシー。
コンスティチュエンシー。
OK です。これ単数形にしてみましょうか。constituency。はい。文はどうなっていたかというと、However, this means many MPs must travel from their constituencies from all across the United Kingdom。ちょっと長いんですが、こういう文だったんですよ。なので、from their constituencies from all across the United Kingdom。ここまでをちょっとやってみましょうか。
はい。from their constituencies from all across the United Kingdom。
そんな感じですね。そのつもりで、their constituencies って言ってもらいましょう。
their constituencies。
いいでしょうか？言えそうですか？今度出てきたら。
覚えておきます。頑張ります。
素晴らしい。
長いんでやっぱりちょっと何回か思い出さないと定着しなさそうですね。constituencies。
そうなんです。
うん
そうなんです。ですので、リスナーの皆さんもこのような感じで練習してみてくださいね。はい。で、近々、イギリス英語のスピーキング、発音にフォーカスしたワークショップを開催します。詳細が決まりましたら、ニュースレターでお知らせしますので、ぜひご登録ください。リンクは番組情報欄、詳細欄ですね、に載せておきます。それではまた次回お会いしましょう。See you next week!